Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, and this is kind of a two-parter. Steve from All the World's a Stage is having a contest, and I also got some VCLT in the mail from Steve, which that's what I think it is anyway. And so I was gonna go ahead and open this first, if I can, because I already scored it. I just got to figure out how I opened it. Okay. And got a note. Oh, he got this, picked this up in Lisbon. I don't think it's any port, because it wouldn't fit in here, but let's see what he picked up here. Oh man. It's Roger McGuinn's Thunderbird, live at Rock Palace 1977, which it's like there's quite a few bird songs on here and some other ones that I'm not as familiar with. There's a Bob Dylan tune, which this contest has to deal with Bob Dylan. There's Golden Loom on here. But yeah, I don't have this. I guess it's it was recorded in Germany, Cologne, Germany. But yeah, I only have one Roger McGuinn solo album called Going to Rio. Got Rio in the title. I can't remember the name of it. And then I have a lot of the Byrds albums, and I always loved him as a guitarist. But thank you so much, Steve. I know I'm really going to enjoy this. I stopped this for a second. I did a little reading on the liner notes here. And actually recorded in Essen, Germany, which is where the concert was, this Rock Palace in 1977. It was licensed out of Cologne, Germany, but yeah, in Essen. And also, Steve's been trying to do a video a day. He's trying to emulate the frequency of videos that Chris Brophy has, or maybe try to catch him. I don't know. But anyway, and he's having a contest, all celebrating Bob Dylan and also celebrating his mother for Mother's Day. Yeah, his mother had passed away, and so mine passed away around 8 years ago. But anyway, so we'll get to that. First off, he wants us to show 3 Bob Dylan covers, or artists that cover a Bob Dylan tune, and that's what I'm going to start. Of course, I know a lot of people are going to show a Bob Dylan tune from this album, but I'm sure a lot of people are going to do it, so I'm not going to, and Steve did not either, and you can see his reasons. So the first one I'm going to show is a tune that was on this Biograph. This was a kind of a compilation album that kind of spanned his career with a lot of released, classics of his, but also some unreleased material, which the unreleased material on here is just magnificent. And he had a song on here, if I can find it. Well, anyway, it's on here, take my word. It's Abandoned Love, which he recorded in 1975 for the Desire album, but it never made it onto that album. And this came out in 1985, this Biograph. Well, in 1986, it was placed, I don't know if they heard it off the Biograph album or what, on this Everly Brothers album called Born Yesterday. And they do the song Abandoned Love, and they do a great version of that song. So maybe my favorite version of Abandoned Love, but it is a great Dylan tune. That's my first one. Yeah, I think I call this a compilation album, but it's more a box set, and it's a retrospective box set is what I would call it, with new and unreleased and released material. What the cool part about this, even though it comes with this booklet, is that there are notes Bob Dylan wrote for each of the songs on here, so you can read about his thoughts about the recording. So that's really pretty cool. And like I got the CD version of that back in the day. It's 85, so it was my CD buying period. Kind of started around 85. My next cover is a cover of this Dylan tune from Nashville Skyline, which came out in 1969. One of Bob's most beautiful songs, and it's I Threw It All Away, which is kind of different in that a lot of the breakup songs on Dylan albums, it's the other person's fault, and this one he kind of takes some responsibility on there. Well, at least the narrator does. And my favorite cover of that is a guy named Jimmy LaFave out of Oklahoma. Passed away, several years ago, about 5 years ago, I think. And there he does, I Threw It All Away. But Jimmy LaFave, I read an article about calling him the best Bob Dylan interpreter, and I ended up getting one of this album, and I just loved it, and I've got all his other albums since then, and almost on every album he'll do a Dylan cover, but the great Jimmy LaFave. And the last one comes from Dylan's album, The Times They Are A-Changin', and it's the song With God on Our Side. And I was in Key West, Florida, in Margaritaville, Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville restaurant down there. And this was, before you could look it up on your phone, or I had no idea who the voice was singing this song, but I just thought it was amazing, kind of this angelic, it's hard to describe voice. And it took me years before I finally heard it and figured out who it was, and it was Aaron Neville of the Neville Brothers. This is their album Yellow Moon, and this came out in 1989. When I finally found it, it was amazing. And there it is, if I can find it, With God on Our Side, which was, the melody is kind of is taken from an Irish folk tune, but just a wonderful song that Dylan wrote, and a wonderful version by Aaron Neville and the Neville Brothers. The last thing he wanted us to do in honor of Mother's Day, which is coming up, is to tell us something about your mother. Like I said, my mother passed away around 8 years ago, but every time I see the movie A Christmas Story, they have a scene in there where they talk about how his mom had never had a hot meal because she was always getting up and getting stuff for everybody else, passing things around, and that reminded me of my mother because she was pretty selfless, made sure everybody had what they wanted to eat, and she was an amazing cook as well, and made the best meatloaf there is. But that's my contest entry for Steve. Thanks, Steve, for the Roger McGuinn album. I know I will enjoy it, and everyone, take care.